Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's Humpday Hangout with the International Society of Fire Service Instructors and Fire Engineering. This month, we're going to talk about FDIC. So I'm Brian Zaitz with ISFSI. We got a great cast today. We reached out to some special guests to have them on, but it's crazy to think that we're less than 2 weeks away from the biggest and the best fire show in the world, Fire Department Instructors Conference. So if you have not made your reservations yet, good luck to you. But the registration is still open, I believe, for the conference, so you can still come up. The expo is going to be great, probably bigger and better than it's ever been, and attendance will be great. But if you've not been, it's an incredible opportunity to see a town taken over by the fire service. You can't walk into a bar and not hit a firefighter. You can't get better training than you're going to get at the FDIC conference. If you need something for the fire department, and it's not at FDIC, then you don't need it. It's that simple because they have everything there and multiple versions of it. So it's incredible. So I'm going to start by going to the editor-in-chief there, Mr. David Rhodes, to kind of let us know what's going new for 2024 at FDIC. So Chief Rhodes, what you got?
Man, do we have enough time?
I don't, probably not. Not in 1 hour.
There's so much new stuff this year. It's off the chain. But thanks for having me, and good to see everybody, and looking forward to seeing everybody in person. I will actually be there 1 week from today. So I get in on the 10th, and we go full force. But so just run down, we've got 20 hot classes this year. A couple of new ones. We've got canned confidence, and we've got a new common sense technical rescue that is first do actions for things like cars into a building and stuff like that. So our hot program is completely sold out with the exception of about 25 spots left in the active shooter class. We've got a few classes that have been offered before but have new lead instructors. Advanced Rescue is one. Lee Hollins stepped out. Truck Company Essentials is another one. Mike Champo has stepped into another role, so Sam Hiddle took that class over. The active shooter class is a little bit different this year. Same instructors, but we're actually doing that in Lucas Oil Stadium. So you'll actually have a large venue event to practice that, and they do a phenomenal job with it. I mean, there's role players with body armor and the whole deal, and this is geared for that first in company, that gets there. And we've seen the tactics change on that from sit around and wait to aggressively go in and neutralize, and hopefully we'll see that with our search culture coming too. But whole nother issue there. But we're hoping that that venue change will really be phenomenal for it. So other new stuff, this year is the first time we've introduced what we're calling the hands-on training workshops. Everybody's familiar with the workshops we've had for years, which are 4-hour interactive classrooms, but you stay in the classroom. So we unleashed a new concept this year called the Hot Workshop, and that's where we put Mike Champo with tower ladders, tactics, and tips. We've got Dennis Laguerre with engine design and layout. We got Ray McCormick, nozzlemanship and line boss leadership. We got Lee Hollins with school bus extrication. And we've got Brandon Maurer and Bob Morris teaming up with the other forcible entry through the lock. And then we have a special 16-hour hot workshop that is off-site, that is at the Indy Fire Training Center, that is the UL Fire Dynamics Boot Camp. And there's already 100 folks signed up for that. So we do have some spots left in the FDNY. Instructors are coming on Tuesday to do remote tactical training, which is how to use cell phones and live feed technology to broadcast training to your organization. And they do it with, some pretty minimal equipment. So they're teaching that. And then we've got a couple of spots left in the engine design and layout function. I think there's only 10 spots left in the UL boot camp, and that one's 110 people. So it's a big one. But those are the brand new things. We've got 58 workshops again, everything from command, simulations, acing your promotional exam, community risk reduction, recruitment. I mean, we tried to make sure we had something in every subject there was. We've got EMS classes, including a K9 class that's in the EMS section on how to take care of your pets. Bill, you'll enjoy that one. So it's like, for anybody on a K9 team, police, fire, EMS, whether it's cadaver dogs or search and rescue dogs, it's kind of like how to take care of the dogs on a deployment. And we've got tons of our curriculum. We looked at everything. We did this last year too. We looked at every single class, whether it was hot, whether it was a workshop, whether it was a classroom. And, we said one thing that our guys, always really struggle with is getting their EMT and paramedic recert hours. Why can't we get credit for that at FDIC? So every class that has anything, it can be Bobby Eckert's live fire class, but they're doing patient removal and assessment. They're doing firefighter CPR. So you can get EMS credit for those classes. And, that's something it was new last year in the way we did it, but, there's dozens of classes that give you credit. And I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather get my credit doing it that way than some of the other ways that are available out there. So we got that. And then we've got, 190 hour 45 sessions, which I know all of you guys are involved in probably all of this, whether it be a workshop or a classroom. So there's 190 of those. And we, everything from SWAT medics to there's no such thing as a routine house fire, large truck extrication, reading the fire ground. Some of our popular ones are back, but there's a ton of new ones. We try to do anywhere from 1/3 to 25% new in our process. So just tons of opportunity there. And then another brand new thing that we're rolling out this year is the Lucas Oil experience. So after hot Monday, Tuesday, the workshops Monday, Tuesday, the classrooms Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, starting Thursday at 10 a.m. when Lucas Oil Stadium opens, we actually have it built for full interaction. So we've got virtual reality studios. We've got command and control set up that's tracking various classes that's going around in the area. Then we have a full-fledged drill yard set up right on the 50-yard line that has a digital burn building that Lion Bullex has built for us. We've got a rescue zone that has electric car, hybrid cars, and regular cars to do vehicle stabilization, to do hybrid vehicle familiarization, electric vehicle familiarization. And in that burn building, we've got groups that are teaching. Elkhart Brass is going to be there doing brass tacks and hard facts, several sessions. We've got Women in Fire teaching a fire attack class. We've got some of the smoke diver groups, Indiana, Georgia, and Oklahoma, teaching a search and rescue class. We've got advanced rescue teaching vehicle stabilization and confined space rescue. And all these are free. All of these classes are free. You have to sign up for them, but they'll be going on the whole time the exhibit hall is open. And there's EMS hands-on classes, how to do street level ultrasound, airway management, intubation, and you'll be actually putting your hands on it and doing all these things. Fitness area, health and wellness. There's firefighter yoga classes. There's workout classes. There's strength and conditioning. All that'll be going on in the area too. And then we have the park. If you remember last year, we had the park was kind of in the center. So we have the park is going to be a little bit closer to the end zone as you first come in. And it has a stage. And then we've asked numerous people, including one of the guests here on the show, Mr. Bill Guston, to do these 20-minute talks kind of modeled after like a TED Talk type thing. So you'll see some fire service leaders up there on the stage, and all of that's, part of the exhibition price. So tons going on in Lucas Oil. And then of course, a record number of exhibitors throughout the whole convention center and in Lucas Oil. And then the
Dave, do you need to bring any equipment if you're going to do the Lucas Oil experience?
Nope, everything's provided for you. So there's turnout gear if you need it. Most of the things are geared to where you don't have to have it. But if you do, you can be a part and watch. But if you do want to get in on the actual performance of anything, like we do have like a forcible entry class, then there's gear there, there's helmets, there's SCBAs, all that's provided for you by the vendors. Nice. So it'll be cool. And we're going to even expand that in 25 to include even more. So we hope to have a full-blown training tower in there in 25. And then on the vendor side, something that was pretty cool. I don't know, there's kind of a little subculture that formed on that hallway right outside of the exhibit hall that leads down to the tunnel that goes down to Lucas Oil. A lot of firefighter-owned companies started kind of congregating over in that area. So we've officially designated that as Firefighter Row. And so there's probably 20 firefighter-owned companies that are along that section, and they have various activities going on, during the week over there in that area. And then we're designating on our app any firefighter-owned business that is exhibiting. They don't have to be in that area. They could be anywhere in Lucas Oil or in the ICC. And there's a part on the app where you can go and look at any of the firefighter-owned businesses. So that was a new thing. So let me take a breath. That's a lot of the new stuff. And then we have a new stage this year for opening ceremonies. The stage that we have been using is the original stage from when we went to Indy. And so we've got a completely redesigned stage that is going to be pretty cool.
Very cool. And ISFSI is going to be there as well at that drill yard. So we'll have a couple sessions as well for that. So that'll be
you guys are doing 1403.
1403, and I think something with 1700 as well. Yeah. So some of our different classes to try to highlight those. So it'd be good. It'd be really good.
Yeah, and obviously we can't burn in there, but it's building some reps and getting through. They've built a pretty cool little unit for us. It has 12 or so of those digital panels. Obviously we got the smoke machines. So it's what you can do inside, to get the biggest bang for the buck there in the drill yard, but it's all free.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to be able to see the props in actual action, and see them before you buy them and use them, and not just take a word of somebody else like, hey, this will work for this, but actually being able to take some of those things and actually getting hands on it and seeing those things will be fantastic for the people coming through. So
I think Seek Camera has some spots they're doing, and their cameras will be transmitting back to the command and control area of Lucas Oil. So if you're in there participating in the command and control, you'll actually see the evolutions going on in the burn building from the live feeds. I think Bullard is in there with a brand new camera they just released. So it's a blend of organizations and some vendor-led training. And that was kind of the goal, was to we purposely keep the exhibitors out of the education track to keep it pure, because we don't want any of our education turning into a sales pitch, which some would be fine doing it and not veer off, but others, just couldn't help themselves. And so we're trying to give them a place, because there's definitely value in the vendors teaching on their product. And a lot of people come to the exhibit hall for that. And so we wanted to give them an area where they could expand what they do and not just show you the product at the booth. We want them to get our attendees involved in their product and use it, whether it's in a burn building or on a vehicle or what have you. So I think 2025 is going to, blow it out of the door with that. And then we're bringing the podcast booth back. That was a huge hit last year.
Nice.
So live at FDIC.
That was always a hit. Everybody loved to walk around and see people talking and make fun of people and all that stuff. Was always good. And it was cool. It was cool to be able to be in there and watch your buddies and talk and that sort of stuff. But, the good transition right to, FDIC, we talk about all this stuff. It's a huge training event for us annually as the fire service. And, everybody on this call is doing some class up there of some nature. And so, but there's all the other stuff too that goes on at FDIC outside the classroom, at the vendor halls. Like you said, you guys are expanding that with some of the different curriculums. But I guess I'll just start around the horn. What's your favorite part of FDIC? Like, we call it the pilgrimage every year. You see, if you go on social media, you see everybody making the quote pilgrimage to Indy, the stops along the way. You get there, everybody's hugging. It's like a giant family reunion of 35,000 firefighters every year. And, everybody gets their blood. It just gets excited. Said, Jim Duffy said it best, it's a chance to recharge the batteries. But, I'll start down the corner. Gedemeyer, what's your favorite part of FDIC?
How are you going to narrow it down to just one thing? Right? I mean, it's overwhelming. I have a new guy, new to FDIC and firefighter that's going with me, and I'm trying to narrow it down on what we're all going to do. So for me, I of course, is the classes. I'll take the easy one. Is there? There are so many topics and so many great instructors that you read their books or you read their magazine articles. So, I'm narrowing it down to about 2 or 3 different classes per little 1 hour, 45-minute section. And I'm ready. I'm ready to go sit in some classes.
That's awesome. Yeah. The educational component of FDIC is absolutely second to none. You got, some of the best instructors across the world coming together to offer their insight and experience. And that's, you can't get that. Like Dave was saying earlier, you look at those people that they got for all this stuff. I mean, there's literally something for everyone in the fire service at FDIC. It's an incredible experience. The legend, Bill Guston, you've been going to FDIC. This is your second year ever going. Is that correct? Second year? Something like that?
Yeah, I think it was second. Well, they kicked me out a couple times.
What do you love about FDIC besides moving furniture?
What I like is seeing my dear friends, my long-term friends that we network with, and once a year, and being able to attend their classes. It's like you say, it is a reunion. It is, we're all brothers and sisters from a different mother, and to see all of my dear friends and make new friends. It is, and that is one of the greatest things about FDIC is the relationships and the networking that you can build with people. You're sitting in class with firefighters from literally all around the world. And you make sure you make these contacts and hand out the business cards or however you want to do it. And then make long-term relationships that are going to pay off, because you're going to be given a project at work, which may not be your forte. But I know somebody that does know. In fact, I don't know anything, but I know people that know something. And I have just dozens and dozens of what I would consider subject matter experts who have been my long-term friends. And that's reach out, make as many friends as you can, and they'll be your friends for your life or at least your career.
No, I couldn't agree more. It's, you see the hugs in the hallways and the high fives and all that stuff, and you love it. And I give this bit of advice, and, I'll see if you guys will agree with this is, we get new people to go to FDIC for the first time, and they've read an article by Bill Guston, or they've read, Eddie's book or whatever. And so they see in the hallway, and, I remember being that new kid at FDIC for the first time taking class and enamored with these legends that I've seen or read their book or their articles or know of them. And I was, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like seeing, Bill in your era, it's like seeing Elvis, for the first time back when you probably saw him, but for us, it's like this legends walking the halls. And so, walk up to those people, at the end of the day, everybody up there is a firefighter. And I can promise you that 99.9% of the people, if you walk up and say, hey, I read your book, love what you thought, can I just ask you a question? They're going to stop and have a conversation with you. And to Bill's point, you might get a contact out of it, meet the person that you're enamored with, and realize, man, we share a lot more in common, and build that relationship that you can take and go with. And, I always tell people that I'm like, at the end of the day, we're all firefighters, and they all want to talk and have a conversation. So don't be afraid to stop somebody in the halls. Eddie's a great guy. I remember like the first time I met him, I was like, my God, that's Eddie Buchanan. Like, how can I go talk to the guy that's done so much? And at the end of the day, like, I can text him right now. It's like you just build those relationships. So pretty cool event to be able to do that stuff. And to your point, Bill, the networking that can occur. So Jesse is the first time instructor this year at FDIC. So we'll talk about his class here in a little bit. But from going in the past, Jesse, what are some of the things you love about FDIC?
Well, for one, I love that every time I go there, it's the same feeling I had as the first time I went there, like overwhelmingly positive. And there's so much to see and do. And that's my favorite part of it, in terms of it's such a unique combination of quality and quantity. And it doesn't matter whether it's the training sessions, the pre-conference workshops, the hands-on training opportunities, the classroom training, the new stuff at the drill yard this year, all of that combined with the opportunities in the exhibition to go talk to all of the vendors. That's been super important for our department. We're probably an average size fire department in the United States. We use FDIC as an opportunity to attack at least one big project every year, whether that's an apparatus specification, new SCBA, new turnout gear, whatever that might be. And then the people in general, the attendees, the relationships, all those sorts of things. So just an incredible opportunity for both quality and quantity.
Eddie, thoughts? You've been going for a long time.
Yeah, I think this might be 26, 27, somewhere in there. And I agree with what Jesse said, that it's still like the first time. Yeah. Every time you go, it's still that same impact. And I think, to echo what Bill was alluding to, the relationships that you build at FDIC last a career and a lifetime. Like Scott Thompson's doing the keynote this year. And I've known Scott and I started teaching together back in, I don't know, early 2000 or maybe even the 90s or something. It was a long time ago. And we wrote our first Lead with Attitude article together. And then to watch him, we became friends. We've done things at each other's departments and stuff where he's come to our department. We've been to their department. And it's just relationships that last a lifetime. And I'm thrilled to death to see him get that main stage this year. He's going to rock the house, and it's going to be fantastic. So these are people that you've known. I've known a lot of these guys for years and years and years. And Bill's right. When something comes up that, I don't know how to do that, or I feel like I don't know how to solve that problem, I get out my contact list, and it's mostly FDIC people that I'm calling. Does anybody know how to do this? And usually within, an hour or two, there's somebody there that knows exactly what to do. So I think that's probably the great takeaway for folks that are going for the first time is you want to have a pre-plan. You want to understand what classes you want to go to, because the popular ones will get crowded. So you want to be on top of it and have a second choice ready. And then it's the classrooms, it's the exhibits, it's the whole FDIC experience, but it's also hanging out after classes are over. It's going to these different events and meeting people and exchanging phone numbers, and you'll meet people that you will 25, 30 years from now, you'll still be good friends. So you just can't put a price tag on that, man. I owe most everything that I ever had that I was able to do in my career has something to do with me being at FDIC. And it's the big show, man. And every year we come crawling back to do it again.
No, it's incredible. And I know I'm probably not the only one that when that August email comes through from FDIC and you either get accepted or denied, and you're just like the butterflies, like, oh, whew, like so excited to be able to go back and that sort of stuff. And it's an incredible experience and, that sort of stuff. But Dave, what do you think? You've obviously been to helm a couple of years now, but, been doing hot classes up at FDIC and hot logistics and seen it from the back end, now seeing, all the stuff from, is there one thing that you take away, or is it just like the whole, you're up there for what, 2.5 weeks now?
Yeah. 11, 12 days. Yeah, I think my first one was my first time going to FDIC was in 1990 in Cincinnati, but actually teaching and starting out with a hot program was either 97 or 98. And then around 2002, 2003, started managing the hot programs. And matter of fact, one of the guys was sending me some pictures from like different places we've been for logistics for hands-on training. I was like, how long ago was that? Man, I had all my hair and it was dark. My mustache was dark. And so a couple of the pictures he sent me today were like 17 years ago, but we've been actually doing it, 27, 28 years, I guess. So I same way as Eddie, like I grew up there, it was, it's a part of you. And, some departments pay for guys to go but the majority of our people are footing their own bill, to go. And, I'm going to talk a little bit about it in my keynote. My theme is revolution this year. And, you can't expect the department to do everything for you if you want to grow in the organization or in the fire service. Sometimes if you don't have the resources, then you got to make the sacrifice. You got to go take vacation, and whether it's FDIC or a local training conference, sometimes you got to do that on your own. And it's an investment in your future. And, had I only done what the department authorized me to do and paid for, I would never be in this position, because, I did a lot of that stuff on my own, whether it was volunteering to go teach or what have you. So, it's not saying that it's right. I wish all departments would pay for everybody to go to different stuff, but it's reality. And, if you want to really get ahead in the business, then you need to invest in yourself. And no different than going to college or going to anything. It's an investment. Go ahead, Bill.
Knowing that there's a segment of your classroom or your workshop, whatever you're doing, your students are there on their own time and their own dime. And I'm sure you guys feel the same. It makes you want to put out 110% of effort, preparation, delivery. You better be at your very, very best, because you owe it to these folks that are there on their own time and their own dime.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us as instructors at FDIC take that lightly. We take that very, very seriously. For instance, evaluations. I realize we have a new system this year with the QR code, but
no more paper evals.
Yep. Yay.
Personally, I was not satisfied with my evaluations of my 4-hour workshop I did last year on management and operations for newly promoted company officers. The student's opinion, too much operations, not enough management. So I went back And I completely redid this because I'm not happy. I wasn't happy with it. Also, I went and got myself a new computer. And, when you're computer illiterate as much as I am,
He gave me his old one.
old guy card. Yeah, there you go.
He
Yeah.
gave me his old computer.
Look at that.
Yeah.
This is actually an iPad. A notepad.
And it does make you want to try your heart out to fulfill everybody's expectations in that classroom.
Yeah. And there's nobody.
Those workshops, they actually pay even more for that.
Yeah, paying extra to be there to see you.
I don't know that there's anybody at FDIC that's made to come to FDIC. Like, even as all of us have probably taught outside, been invited to go to this event or whatever. And that if the department brings you in, there's some people that were like told, okay, you got to attend this leadership class or whatever. But at FDIC, I don't know that anybody is made to go. If departments are paying, they usually say, hey, we got, I know like Atlanta, they do like 20 people and they're like, you kind of put in for it and they decide who's going to go. But I don't think anybody's made to come. So that's a great audience to have because they're eager. They want to be there to learn. So, and we do, from picking the classes, it is such a responsibility to make sure that we put on a good show and have variety. And for the people who don't get selected, we put out as many tips and advice as we can. Diane's doing her class again this year on Friday, so you want to be an author or a speaker class and, follow those tips and don't give up. I know a guy that's going to be his first time teaching he's from South Carolina, and I've known him casually for probably 10 years and seen him teach in places. I know he's put in every year, like for 10 years. And we finally got his class this year. And so, he didn't give up, but he also didn't go on a tirade on social media every time he got turned down. And it's like, there's so many, it's almost like winning the lottery. It's like, there's so many proposals. There was 1,009, I think, last year proposals for those 190 classes. That's and crazy. So, I've done several webcasts and stuff with folks going over strategy, but, we probably get 600 leadership class proposals. So your chances of getting a leadership class are pretty slim, just playing the odds. And obviously we're loyal to the people who do things with us over the year. Like, we publish their book or they've written articles or they're hosting radio shows or all of that. We're never 100% like anything, but those things do increase your visibility. And, we know that the audience wants you to be there. So a lot of people get disappointed, they're the expert in their field, wherever it is, but we don't know who they are sometimes. And it's not just an open free for all. And we get a lot of professional motivational speakers that put in, and we don't take any of them. We don't take any of the vendor led education or any of those professional speaker folks. We get people who are doing the job, have done the job, and, have some credibility as best as we can vet.
I think if people, sat through the process of actually going through those proposals, just one
it's
time,
hard. It's hard.
It's horrible. It's a great to see how much talent is out there in the American Fire Service, but it is hard to choose between a couple of people. And I would highly recommend anybody that has been denied in the past or is looking to be accepted in the future, make some time on that Friday to get to Diane's class, where she talks about what it takes to be an FDIC instructor, because it's a lot more, like he said, it's a lot more than just submitting a proposal. It's it's a full year of commitment to fire engineering and what your message is, and putting your message out there so that when FDIC rolls around, people want to see what you have to say. They want to know what's going on. They want to see what's new from your book or your article or your podcast or whatever it might be. And so it's a full encompassing event. But I love when you started talking about, and I can't wait to see the keynote with the revolution idea, because I've talked to a lot of guys that started in the fire service and they paid their own way for their firefighter 1 and 2. They got on the job, and then immediately it was, now you owe me. And it's like, well, no, fire service doesn't owe you anything. Like, you owe it to them. And so if you want to get good at this job, you got to put some time, some money, and some sacrifice away from things to be good at it. And I'm not saying you got to give up your life, but
right.
It's a commitment. So no, it's all good stuff. You guys highlight some things that you guys loved about FDIC, and a lot of it revolved around that brotherhood networking. I'll say, Tuesday night at FDIC ISFSI, we will have our annual membership social. So if you're a member, go to isfsi.org, pre-register for that. It's a great event. We got some special guests that are going to be stopping by that you can network with, that you may not have access to outside of that. So, it's a great opportunity for our members to come together, talk, have a couple drinks and some food that night. So fun times there. And then, of course, another event for ISFSI is our Friday general membership meeting. I'm very excited about that. We moved it to the morning, so as not to compete with the show. So we'll be at 9:00 on Friday morning, and it's a great opportunity to kind of hear about the ISFSI, where we're going in 2024, 2025. We always have our annual meeting at FDIC. It's where our home is FDIC, and we're very proud of that, and the relationship we have with Clarion and FDIC. So look for that for many years to come. And then backing up a day, it will be Thursday. We will have our annual Instructor of the Year award. And he's on the call. The one and only Captain Bill Gustin at Miami-Dade is the 2024 George D. Post Instructor of the Year. And so, we get a ton of nominations for that each year. Great instructors. The past recipients, along with Dave and the president of ISFSI and some other people, sit down and really evaluate these people that are known not only in the region but across the country. And so, couldn't think of anybody more fitting to get to 2024 than Bill. So, Bill, I will turn it over to you for a few kind words. Don't give up everything that you're going to talk about, but what does that mean to you, being the Instructor of the Year? A little bit of your past and that sort of stuff.
It means the world to me because it's this is something you're nominated by your peers, people that I have an immense respect for, and to know that they think that highly of me is a very proud moment in my life. And I've always thought that the way I got into teaching to begin with years ago is in the 70s, when you were still in diapers there, Brian, is that
I wasn't even born in the 70s. You kidding me?
And then Brian, they hadn't even invented Pampers yet. Okay. So
I was born, but I was only watching Emergency.
Don't get me started on that. The show that ruined the American Fire Service. It is just, it's a great source of pride for me, for my family, for my fire department family. And Lieutenant Bill Gustin retired from the Chicago Fire Department after 33 years, up in heaven. And I know he's proud of me and he's smiling down on me. And so at this point in my career, it is quite an honor. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but it is, and you guys know that the fire service has been such a big part of my life because I wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps, my grandfather's footsteps. And from a kid, I was a student of the fire service. And I'm going to mention something in our, you're going to let me talk for like a few minutes. But Brian, out in that audience, when I get this award is future recipients of this award. And they're well on their way because they're sitting in that audience, a lot of them on their own, as I said, their own time and their own dime. And that's how you get started. So you come to FDIC, you're well on your way to being a career-long student of the fire service, a professional, whether you are a volunteer or career.
No, it's good. No, it's. I think back to some of the things, at FDIC and, speaking last year, being in the audience. You there? Oh,
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. No, it's so true, though. You think about the people in the audience, right? And I forget, a couple of years ago, I forget the keynote speech somebody said, and they said that, whoever the next speaker for this thing is in the audience or whatever. And, and then I was like, oh, man, it ended up being, speaking a couple of years later. And here's Bill with his IT support. It's fantastic. His new computer. Eddie, you got you were ISFSI's instructor here in 2015, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
So very good. Again, another great instructor, which is incredible.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with Bill said. I couldn't believe it when Bobby. I was sitting on an airplane waiting for everybody to load the plane, and Bobby calls, and when you see Halton on your caller ID, you probably ought to pick it up. And I still can't believe that was the case. And I got to tell a little story on Bill that I was so excited when I heard he got this award this year because I forgot where we were teaching. We were somewhere in the Midwest. It might have been Tulsa. It could have been, I don't know. We were somewhere. And there was like a regional conference we were doing. And I was teaching in the afternoon. I think Bill was in the afternoon as well. And I said, let me sneak down and see. I think Champo was talking in the morning. So I go down there and sneak in the back of the room. I want to check out what the champ is saying. And I'm sitting in the back of the room trying to lay low. And I look up on the third row, and there's Gustin sitting up in the front of the classroom with his notebook out, writing feverishly. And I was like, look at this guy, talking about being a lifelong student of the fire service. That's not just lip service. He's in there taking notes, and then he put his notes away and go teach. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that makes him the instructor of the year. That's fantastic.
Taking notes like that is a euphemism for plagiarizing. By the way, that was my boss, Chief Fernando Gomez, and I had him, as almost all of my bosses, as probies right out of the academy, and you treat everybody based upon mutual respect. And realize that everybody has something to give. That's a big theme of my officer development class this year for the company officers, is everybody counts starting on their first day. And it is built on trust and mutual respect. So, yes. Oh, and if I can say this, well, he's your buddy, or I'm the boss, I can't be the buddy. Well, no, Fernando is not my buddy. He's my chief, but he's not my buddy. He is my dear friend. I've been to his kids' weddings, and we say, well, you can't be friends. Oh, yes, you can be.
Absolutely.
I would live in fear of disappointing that man, and I will do whatever I have to do my job to the best I can for that guy, because I love my bosses at first like they were my sons. Now they're brothers. But you got to remain humble and remember where you came from, because before you know it, you'll be working for that guy. And that's not a bad thing at all. That's a wonderful thing.
Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's an interesting thing with the company officer thing, Bill, in the class. I used to always wonder when I was the HR chief, and somebody would end up in my office for something had gone horribly wrong somewhere.
Can you analyze that kiss we just saw on air? Is
Yeah.
that a violation of any kind of policy?
It seemed consensual, so we'll let it ride.
It wasn't in an HR way.
Yeah. But you always got to wonder, how did somebody's had this horrible this thing has happened, and now they're in the office, and you got to wonder. I don't think they set out that morning to go be a screw up, right? It's like there was probably some conditions, some situations. Maybe they didn't have all the information. Maybe we didn't tell them all the information. There could be 100 reasons why this guy is now standing here. And it's so easy for officers, I think, to lose track of that start from that place of respect and understanding and then go from there. It's such an important part of you don't find that in the 1,000, the officer one class usually.
Medical calls. Sometimes you just happen to be the target of the patients' families, of patients' friends. And you just happen to be the target that day for whatever reason. Guys on my crew, we got it, Cap. Give me the EPCR, the electronic patient record. We got it, Cap. And I go out and sit in the cab, and they handle it. And maybe there's the next call, somebody else is the target. We got this. Go ahead. And I think about some of the mistakes that the fire service and the police make. And I have to think, where were his coworkers? Where were his peers? Why didn't somebody say, hey, this is, come on, what you're doing is not right. Like you should do. Instead of standing back and watching somebody break the law, violate department policy. And that's just the way I want it to work. And everybody matters. Everybody counts beginning on their first day.
I think a huge part of that, like you said, Bill, was that disappointment factor. I've often said, like, my boss, I'm friends with my boss, I've known him for 20 plus years. He was at my wedding, and him and I can get mad at each other. Right. And it's happened. Like, it's things that we haven't always agreed on everything. But if he comes into me and says, man, I'm just disappointed, like that like drills to my core. And you can only have that if you have relationships with those people. And, it's the same thing I had when I was a company officer with my crew, like, man, I'm just disappointed that you guys didn't do better. And, I own part of that. They own part of it. But yeah, well, I'm mad at you. Who cares? You can be mad at me all day long. Like, that doesn't drive to my core like a disappointment factor that you see from siblings, parents, those sort of things. I totally agree, Bill, that when we say these things like, oh, you can't be friends with people you work with, well, that's half our problems right there. If we're not friends with them, why do we care about them? And if we're going to go in a burning building where I want somebody to care about me, more or less than just see me as a coworker that I got to clock in with, But I want to take a little bit here with you guys to kind of highlight your classes. I think everybody's teaching at FDIC. So, Gedemeyer, do you want to start with, you're doing a municipal firefighter class with some pretty interesting topics. Kind of give us the highlights of that and when it's going to be.
So Friday, April 19th at 10:30. So at the closing last classes of the ceremonies or the festivities. So yes, I'm doing a municipal firefighter's guide to industrial incidents. So we're just kind of taking a broad overview of industry and what's unique to it and how we build that relationship and start pre-planning way ahead of the incident. Because if we wait to start building our plan when we arrive at the gate for an incident, we're going to be in some serious trouble. So just a good overview, hour, 45 minutes overview of how we get along with our industrial partners and build a good relationship and some of the unique hazards and stuff like that. So.
And I sat in that last year for part of the class. And I can tell you, Brian, in addition to being the company officer in his department, is works with one of our utility companies locally that has a lot of infrastructure. And so definitely knows that stuff real well. And that class, he presents in such a way that he gets it from both sides that you don't always see in instruction, right? And so he presents it from, hey, you're the first driving company officer. But then he goes right next door. It's like, well, from the industrial side, we can do X, Y, and Z. And so to see those sort of things was really, it was like I said, great class, great instruction, and a definite must for anybody that's working around those type of industrial settings. So, Jesse, first timer at FDIC, are you getting nervous, excited?
Good combination of both those things. And I can testify to the longer you wait to get accepted at FDIC, the better it feels. So much like that other gentleman, I applied, I would say at least a good 10 times, but it makes that end email, positive email, that much better when you do receive it. So the class, I'm trying my best to fill out the FDIC passport this year. So to be, to get the full experience in several different places. One of which is on Wednesday afternoon, 3:30 p.m. is probationary firefighter training program, setting and raising the bar. And a lot of what Captain Gusson has talked about is exactly what's in my class. So spoiler alert in terms of treating people with respect. And a big part of that is developing your IAP, initiative, attitude, and performance. And what everybody has to understand ultimately is that's a two-way street. So we get people into the fire service. We want them to have that high level of initiative, positive attitude, and ultimately trust the process and perform with the foundational skills that we're trying to teach them. In return, it's fair for them to expect the same of us in terms of we're going to have a high level of initiative, we're going to have a great attitude, and we're going to perform in our roles within our organizations so we can all be together or better together. And that's a big part of the class. So Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. And then I get to be a part of the drill yard program through ISFSI on Thursday, which the class I'm going to be doing is Hook and Look for Life. It's a forcible entry class, so live fire layout stuff, which is going to be super great. I'm going to take a little turn in the podcast booth on Thursday, which will also be fun. And then to be part of the FSRI Fire Dynamics Boot Camp, I have a new position working in the training and education team there, and that's been great too. And all this started with really ISFSI and FDIC and the combination of those two things. And I couldn't be happier to be a part of this group and to be a part of just attending FDIC, let alone have the opportunity to hopefully share some information that people deem as helpful and useful.
So you're falling right into my model of work the instructor like a rented mule. And look
He's swinging for the
accompanying-
fence. I was waiting for him to do a
the
keynote.
accompanying article in April, fire engineering too, right?
You guys
Yes,
know-
article coming out in the April version on probationary firefighter training programs.
awesome.
A lot of people thought I couldn't read or write, but this article at least proves some of that is wrong.
That's
know,
big in the FDIC article, pal. It's
You
big.
got your first year teaching and with a full slate, but never forget Diane's favorite saying: even if you've been accepted 25 years, this could be your last year.
Last year.
That's true.
It'll be last year. Nice. Besides Thursday, Bill, what do you got going on up there all week?
Well, I've got the workshop is on Tuesday, 8:00. That's the company officer. And then Thursday, after the festivities in the afternoon at 3:15, I have, or maybe it's earlier than that. Thursday afternoon, I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's operations above the fire. Whether you're knowingly doing it or not knowing it, but it's worse when you not know it. And just look back at all of the tragedies of Cherry Road. The young man was killed in Brooklyn, in the Canarsie area. I think that's how you pronounce it. To me, it would be a townhouse. They call it a tenement, I think. But it's you don't have to be in a basement. I wrote an article for my safety bulletin, caught in the flow path, fighting a basement fire on the 4th floor. And I'm sure people are thinking, oh, the old man's completely flipped his lid this time. No, when you got a apartment that is with the bedrooms downstairs, you're going into a basement. And God forbid those windows on that sleeping floor that is below you fail. You're going to burn up. And it's happened time and time again. Now we're getting smart. Fight the fire at the same level. And it's taken a lot of terrible injuries and fatalities for us to learn those lessons. And that's the whole point in being a student of the fire service. Well, it's not fair to second guess. It is fair to second guess. And it's your duty to second guess so that it doesn't happen to you and your company and your department.
Thursday at 1:30.
Okay? I'll be there.
And then, Bill, we have some rum tasting, I think, one of those nights at FDIC.
Rum tasting.
I believe so.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Awesome. Eddie, what do you got going on up there?
I am doing a workshop on Monday morning at 8 o'clock. It's operationalizing data in the fire service.
Nice.
That's kind of that seems to be the next field to cut, as I like to say. So a lot of area for the fire service to grow in how we use data. And this workshop is kind of a way to, if you're not really sure how to begin, like it's something you need to be better at, but you're not sure where to start. That's what this workshop is designed to do, is to talk about where is the data, what are you looking for, what kind of technology do you need. I've found you probably already have most of the basic stuff you need already. You just might not know that you have access to it or where it is. So it's a good place to kind of get things started. And then on Thursday at 2 o'clock, we're doing the Live from FDIC podcast. So the Fire Service Data and Tech Talk show I do for fire engineering, we'll be doing that Thursday at 2. And our topic we're going to start really kind of focus on is how can a young officer who wants to get promoted, you're looking for career development, how can you use data and technology to gain a competitive edge, right? So if you think about it, I can tell in the fire service when your city managers and mayors all go to some conference and somebody teaches a class, that they all come back kind of saying the same thing. It's like somebody did something on fire service data, and we can kind of understand that. So it's important that we start not just being a fire chief thing, but being a firefighter thing, that we are interested in data collection and how to use it. And I've got Mike Cox from Esri going to be on the show with us. Ken Urban, who is a data wizard from Corpus Christi, Texas, will be on the show. He's amazing. And Trevor Wilson, who's the planning chief there for IFD, will be in there with us. So we'll have a really good panel of folks that have some experience with the topic, and to share information about how you can get that competitive edge at that next assessment center. So it should be a fun week.
Sounds awesome. It's incredible not just the amount of data that's out there, but actually capturing and utilizing that data for decision making at all levels of the organization. It's pretty cool. You got nothing really going on that week, do you, David? I'm just kind of hanging out.
Just do a little 20-minute speech, and that's it. Hang out in the hotel the rest of the time. Yeah, it's nonstop. The only time, I guess you'll see me talking or teaching publicly there would be during the opening ceremonies. We're cut down to an hour and a half this year from 2 hours. Give everybody a little extra sleep in time after the festivities. And so, it'll be same pageantry, bagpipes, the LODD remembrance, a lot of great things with the new stage, and looking forward to Scott and then Jason Hubbleman on day 2.
Yeah.
Got a little special thing going on Thursday. Me and a special guest have a few comments on a very hot topic, and then I'll just be out, man. You got a couple shows in the FDIC podcast booth. Be out at the drill yard a little bit. We've got the stair climb on Friday, so we'll be kicking that off. A lot of new books releasing. I think we got 16 new titles since last FDIC. A couple that I won't be able to remember them all, but had a really good partnership that we got squared away with Fire Nuggets, and we got the Andy Fredericks book finally published in a collaboration. So it's all of Andy's works for fire engineering and for Fire Nuggets put into one book. So we got a little event Wednesday kicking that off in the bookstore. We published all of Bruno's works for FDIC, and it has an immaculate cover. and a special forward by Mrs. Smith, no less, has written the forward for the book for us. So that was one to check out. Castros and Brush's command book just came in this week, so it'll be getting out. John O'Connell's updated rescue shoring. There's nothing else out there like it. So tons of books. The bookstore's redesigned, a whole new look.
The training officer handbook by
Training officer handbook. Yep. There's like I said, there's 16. You can't even remember them all. There's so many. And we just signed a contract or negotiated the contract for something that's coming out later in the year. Is going to be Sprinkles 3.
Whoa.
Sprinkle 3, just in time for Christmas.
Nice.
And then we've got
Frank's got a dog now too. So he actually has a Sprinkles dog.
Yeah, he does. He's on the circuit with the dog now. And then all the after hours activities. We did cancel the FDIC after hours. That was Wednesday, like 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. Just kind of got a little bit stale. And obviously last year was the Bobby Halton tribute. So we thought that was a good way to kind of end that. It's just, there's so much going on. It's like, we want people to enjoy the city and, have time to go to the Fool's Bash, to, hang out and see the bagpipes come down the street. And we were talking about fun parts of FDIC. That's just as much a part of FDIC as anything else, is the conversations that happen after hours, even though it's not official FDIC after hours. But anywhere you go, whether it's to dinner or to Kilroy's or to any of the other establishments, the conversations are all about what we're doing to train, to improve, who's doing what, collaborations. Products have been born out of those meetings in some of those places. New training companies have been founded out of those, those relationships in meetings. And it's just a huge part of the culture that's phenomenal. So what's my favorite part? I don't know, but I sure do love the damn bagpipes.
It's amazing. It's amazing to see him playing at the opening ceremony and then watch him play around town. And
they're everywhere.
They're literally everywhere. And it's, I love the point of like FDIC and all the after hours and talking to people and being in the bars and the restaurants and just seeing people. And like I said, it's such a humbling experience to be around so many great people. But at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing, facing the same challenges. And so it's a great opportunity for us to talk to each other and grow and create those networks that, when you're having a bad day, to call that person, I can call Jesse and vent to Jesse and say, hey man, this is what I'm dealing with. Oh man, yeah, I've dealt with that before. You're not alone. And those relationships are built at FDIC, both in the classroom and outside. So it's a phenomenal week. I encourage everybody listening or watching in right now, get up to FDIC. If you're come up, Sunday, make a week of it. It's an investment in your career. It's an investment in your future in the fire service. I always say, in my classes, there's two things you got to do in the fire service through your career, National Fire Academy being one and FDIC being the other. And, both are great opportunities, but FDIC, the opportunities at FDIC, they just don't stop, and they continue on after that week with phone calls and texts and emails and things like that. And, you could be a small guy from St. Louis in the area and find yourself, 15, 20 years later, on a conference call with legends like these guys here. So anything is possible. That's bred at FDIC, you just don't know. So ISFSI, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, please join if you're not a member yet. Everybody on this call here is a member of ISFSI, which I'm proud to say. So appreciate that. We do a lot of good stuff for instructional development. We have quite a few instructors teaching at FDIC. Annually, we always have a good cadre of people up there. So that's always exciting to see. We have our social, like I said, Tuesday night. Please come out to that. If you're a member, just register online. We'll have food, drinks, some special guests, a good opportunity to talk. And then Friday, we'll have our general meeting. We'll be out and about all week. So look for us. We'll be out with everybody else. So stop by, say hi, and join. We'll have a booth at FDIC like we always do. a bunch of new handouts. They are all at my house right now because we weren't going to ship them. So we shipped them to my house, and I will be driving them all to FDIC. So there'll either be a garage sale of ISFSI apparel, or you may be able to stop by the booth and get you something free. So please stop on by and check us all out. But everybody on the call, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for being my friends, mentors throughout the years. I look up to all of you guys and what you guys are doing in the fire service, and can't wait to see everybody in person here in just a couple of weeks. So thank you guys.
Safe travels to
the
Indy.
app. Download